So the following is just a quick overview of a couple of features that I think can help you out as you target different accounts and contacts within companies. So again, up in our universal search, I can come up here and I can say, hey, I'm interested in MSA. And then I've got my MSA target accounts or MSA target account, MSA. Sorry about that. Let me just hit enter here. It is the MSA contract active rig report. So that is the list of guys that we have MSA contracts with. Again, in the account record, we're tagging a field that checkbox that says you have an MSA with them. And out of that, we can see XTO is probably number one as far as active rigs are concerned over the time frame that I've got. I think it's the filter here. I'm saying that account name record. Anyway, it's a list, or sorry, the active rigs is kind of in the last 30 days. So what we've done on this particular list here is I've added a feature called campaigns. And if you click on a campaign, the idea behind it is that we really want to focus and measure the results of a specific set of sales and marketing activities that we're working on. So I've got a master campaign that we don't have to worry too much about, but the first one I've set up is the MSA accounts XTO. So we're focusing on accounts that we have MSA records with, and we want to target, we want to increase our marketing activity associated with those accounts. When we come into it, we've got a couple tabs here. Here we've got related. View all is, these are all the contacts that you have in your CRM system related to XTO. So we've got all the contacts listed there, and I've added them as what they call members to a campaign. So the campaign is we're targeting XTO, and the members are the contacts that we are focusing on to get out and sell to. One other area that I've added the reports, and we can come in here and we can kind of take a look. So what I use is essentially what they call account-based selling process, where we want to segment accounts. So now we're segmenting into accounts with MSA contracts and accounts without MSA contracts. And we're also segmenting it, who's got the most active rigs, so on and so forth. So we've now segmented it. And then we want to look at once we do that, we build our list. So we know we've got to the XTO side of it. We now want to look at the contacts and understand what role they play in the buying decision. And what is the buying process for either that rig or that particular account. So here I've got a list of all the different contact records and how many of those types of contacts that we have inside of Salesforce. I can go and I can click that bottom left and I can say, let's go in and take a detailed look at this particular report. And so here are those contacts broken out by essentially the role, and we want to understand what role they play. We know the role that they play at the company, but what role do they play in the buying decision? Where is it that we need to focus on? Some recommendations that we look at here. We've got a lot of days since last activity, so making sure that we're logging our calls against the contacts. We're missing a lot of phone numbers, a lot of emails, so those are all things that we want to continue to grow on that side of it. So if I'm looking here, I want to continue to kind of build out what it is that I'm focused, or I want to be able to build out more contacts associated to XTO. One of the things that I might look at is I might say, okay, I want to connect with more drilling engineers. I want to talk to more drilling engineers, find out what role they play in the buying process in the products and services that we're selling them. So what I can do when we look at kind of a social selling component is I can come into my LinkedIn, and then I can go ahead and I can search XTO and look at XTO Energy. Then when I see I've got 3,200 employees, I want to look at all of the employees at XTO. And then up at the top, I've got some filters. So I'm going to say all filters. And there's going to be a couple things that I like to do. I want to look at my kind of my first and my second connections. Initially I want to look at Odessa Midland area. So let's look at that. And now I want to come down here to the title, and I want the title to contain drilling engineer. So now here we are with a list of drilling engineers in that Odessa Midland area. Again, the goal that I have, I want to connect with them socially, and I want to find out what role they play in the buying process as it relates to the products and services that I'm selling. So the first guy I'm going to look at is Caleb, and then I'll just hold my control key down on my keyboard. I grab Caleb's name. A little bit of manual process here. It's just the way it works. There are tools if we use a lot of this to automate this particular process. But the first thing I want to do is I'm going to connect with Caleb, and I'm going to tell him in my connection, I'm going to say, hey, let's connect. And then I'm going to add a note, and I'm going to say, I provide these services, and I post information about that. And we do have an MSA with XTO. I thought it'd be great if we could connect. Good opportunity for you to start your discussion with this individual. And then I'm going to grab his name, and I'm going to go to my instance of Salesforce, and then I'm going to go to my contacts, and I'm going to add him as a new contact. Again, we don't have all the information we like. We're going to try and start a dialogue with him to get his email, to get his phone number, those types of things. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in Caleb, and then Control X, and then put in his last name. And then what I know he is he is a drilling engineer. And then I also know when I come down here that he is in Odessa and Texas. So we'll put that there. We'll go ahead and we will save it. Search account. I have to say that he works for XTO. And I'm going to save that. If I want him to show up in a campaign, which I do, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, here's the campaigns. I'm going to add him to my campaign. And then I'm going to say it's the MSA on that side of it. Things that I'm going to do is I'll just save it as is. And now I'm going to log my call and I'm going to say LinkedIn invite. So I know that I've invited him on that side of it, and I'll go ahead and save it. So pretty simple process when we look at trying to go deeper and wider as it relates to XTO. And then what we'll do, so I said he was from Odessa, he's actually from Midland. We can see here I've got lots of connections associated with him. I've done that. If he connects with us, if I see he connects, I'm going to thank him, and then I'm going to start maybe a process using the messenger now that I've got a connection with him, saying, hey, just wondering, example, do you play a role in the decision making of these particular products? And if he says yes or no, if he says no, who does? And see if I can get that information. And then two, if he says yes, then I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, I'd like to arrange a phone call with you, and then go through that particular process of speaking with him. Once I've added Caleb, then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to look at Brock, and I'm going to do the exact same thing with Brock, and I'm going to work through this particular process, again, going deep and wide in the engineering component at XTO to see what roles that they play inside the market. So again, I'm going to connect. I'm going to describe why I want to connect to him. I'm going to grab his name, Brock Adams. I'm going to come back over here, and I'm going to add Brock as a new contact, add him as a drilling engineer, and I'm going to log my call that I've sent a LinkedIn invite to him, and see, again, if I can get a dialogue with him to discuss what role he plays in the decision-making process. So just a quick review, simplifying it. I've added these campaigns. The first campaign that we want to work on is the MSA XTO. So we have an MSA contract with them. The one is XTO. You can see it jumped up my connections to 25. I'm going to look at my report. And then what our objective is I want to come in here and I want to go deeper and wider with regards to these particular sets of contacts. So I don't want just 2 drilling engineers in there, or now I've got there's a typo there. We'll probably fix it. I now have 4. I want 5. I want 6. I want to see some consistent activity. I want to use social networking to help me do that. One thing that I did add here, when I go back to the campaign and I go to the related, again, I've given you a list of the people that I would recommend, their titles that I would be searching inside of Salesforce. One of the areas that you're very light on, and then I would want to make sure that we add those as procurement, and then just go through that exact same process. My goal, I want to add more procurement people. So I'm going to come back here to my LinkedIn. I'm going to then do a search. I like to stay in Odessa for right now. We can go to Houston after the fact. And then we can say procurement. I'm going to say apply. And then there's some procurement people that I want to reach out to and talk to them and see, connect with them, tell them the service that I'm providing, see if I can get a dialogue to find out what role they play in the buying decision associated to it. So I'll take a look at this and I'll set up a call and we'll review it face to face.